right? You live here, you're part
Most
of the system
time,
now.
Yeah, really. I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I integrated.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's pretty much based on money, the system here.
It is.
Yeah.
The system is completely based on money.
Yeah.
You have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for. And it may happen that by circumstance, or even very purposefully, that you someone.
I can name 6 names. One of them who's still very powerful today.
7 years old and someone is stroking your penis, it feels good. Even though you don't have a name for what that is, it feels good.
I always blamed myself. Even though intellectually I would say to other kids, I would speak to people and say, oh, the child is never to blame. You're never responsible for molestation in your life. I still believed I was responsible somehow, that I was a bad girl. I want to have sex until you're married, is that it?
That's the way right now, that's what I feel. I mean, I was sort of brought up thinking that way, and I feel strongly about that. I feel
when you do
that
have, you know, it'll make
For almost 30 years, Mel Gibson has been ridiculed as a crazy conspiracy theorist. He created films about powerful individuals who worked outside the reach of the law and about institutions meant to protect the elite and silence anyone who challenged them. Now, additional Jeffrey Epstein files have been disclosed, and the things Gibson has been saying for decades, things that got him derided, banned, and rejected, are beginning to appear less like paranoia and more like prophecy. Gibson has long contended that Epstein was not a lone operator, but part of a system, a network of influential individuals who exploited him, protected him, and kept his secrets because they were their secrets, too. Now, Mel is claiming that Hollywood, government agencies, and elite circles worked together to manipulate the narrative, stifle whistleblowers, and ensure that the individuals behind Epstein's operations never faced consequences. The documents do not identify Gibson as a witness, but the pattern he described, the shielding, the silence, the coordinated effort to bury the truth, is evident in every redacted page. So, let's examine Mel Gibson's warnings, his public statements, and the information that has emerged from the latest batch of Epstein files, which suggests he may have been right all along. And let's finally determine whether Mel Gibson was a conspiracy theorist or a truth teller who recognized the system before the rest of us.
I mean, money will make you do stuff as well, won't it? I mean,
Yes.
one, them, us,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, well, whoever.
If there's many millions riding on a decision, it's hard to be philosophical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very hard. Very hard to be, you know, you have to choose what level of integrity you're coming in at. And
Okay.
and I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slip firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side.
Say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do, and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments, what you call, oh, I don't even deal with things like that, because what people are beginning to do is see you for who you are. Where Oprah Winfrey and I have a problem is Oprah Winfrey called us up and she said my brother wanted to come on the show and talk about him molesting me, and he wanted to tell other parents how to look out for molesters. My brother Gerald is a charmer. So my mind thought was, because she said, do you want to come on? I said, I don't want nothing to do with that cat. I said, no, it's up to a scam. But people can change. And who am I to say he hasn't changed? It might really be different. So I don't want to get in the way of that. I just don't want nothing to do with it. She said, if you don't want me to have your brother on the show, I will cancel the show. No show will happen. But I wanted to call you up to see how you felt first. When I hung up that phone, brother, I looked at my husband and I said, that fight with me. That's a real.
She kept it
Because she didn't have to call me up. She didn't have to say my brother was coming. She could have just ran with shit and let it happen. I dig her for that. Now I begin to see commercials with my brother, my mother, my father, and my other brother. Now, the reason why that means so much is because in the conversation we had about my brother, we then went deeper. And we began to talk about our relationships with our mothers and our fathers. And I shared my relationship with her about my mother, as she shared hers with me, which I will never repeat because she shared it with me about her mother and father. It might be something she shared with everybody, but wanted to make me feel special. I don't know. Nonetheless, it was in our moment. I shared with her that me and my mother was not talking. I shared with her we were in a really bad place. I shared with her I was hurt and, trying to figure this thing out. She never said my mother was coming on that show, because had Oprah Winfrey said, I'm gonna have your mother, I would have said, shut it down. I don't need the world seeing how greedy my mother is. Shut that down. That's one of the reasons why we don't communicate, because of my mother and father's greed. So if you had given me the opportunity, I would have said, I can't put my mother, that's still my mother.
Bizarre place. And it doesn't take very long, and I'm sure you've experienced this if you've stayed here for any length of time. You come in, you're fresh from the outside, you're off the boat, from the farm, still got on your shoes, you're in here, people are charmed by that you've still got on your shoes. They're charmed by the fresh approach you bring to it, and that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also stroking out of you, licking you all over. And that's kind of good for you, too.
It's great.
But it doesn't take very long before you realize, or before it gets to you. It's cascading on you all the time. You can't get away from certain attitudes, from certain modes of behavior that this town and the industry dictate. And no matter how strong you are, when you come in off the farm with those convictions and a certain line of attack, no matter how strong you are going to be